everyone. In today's video, I'm asking the question or answering the question, is Helion Corporation the most powerful corporation in Terraforming Mars? A follow-up to that, or something that begs to be answered, is Helion broken? So first, what is Helion? Let's look at it. All right. Helion is a corporation that gives you 42 mega credits to start, gives you 3 heat production, gives you a space resource symbol, and gives you an effect. You may use heat as mega credits. You may not use mega credits as heat. So, wow. It's like, you get the cards, they get dealt out to you, but I got Helion. I don't even need to look at my project cards. I got Helion, guys. This is it. I've won. You guys are gonna fight for second place. That's it. I won. So, all right. Huge advantage, seemingly. Let's look at the statistics on this site from BGG that tracks these things. Whoa. That doesn't seem right. Helion, they're not winning. Now, they do fairly well at 2-player games, but they're not doing well after that. And why? Why is that? What's going on here? How could they, not only are they not winning in the public stats, sites, but they're actually performing substandard. They're actually one of the weaker corporations. How can that be? Well, it's because it's easy to confuse a corporation that's powerful with a corporation that is easy. And Helion most definitely is easy. You already have a strategy. You already kind of know what you need to look for. You know that if you make a mistake and spend too much money on heat production, then you can just take that heat and you can pump that right back into money. It is definitely one of the easiest corporations. That is no doubt. The thing is that it's not the most powerful. And let's get into it. So, first of all, it is one of the poorer corporations. And that can be hard to grok at first if you're not really looking at things too closely. But let's just take a corporation like Credit Corp. What does Credit Corp have? Credit Corp has 57 starting money. Well, Helion only starts with 42. Credit Corp starts with 57. Okay, so Credit Corp does not have a starting symbol, and that is important. Like I said, it can be important. It also can be useless, but Credit Corp has an ability, after you've paid for a card or standard project with a basic cost of 20 money or more, you gain 4 money. So what does that turn into in reality? Because everything in Terraforming Mars, you can kind of quantify into how much value each different thing has. And the first turn, Helion has 42 money. That's it. They have 42 money. Credit Corp has 57 money. Now, the second turn, Helion gained 20 money and they gained 3 heat. Credit Corp gained 20 money, ignoring things that they've purchased. With nothing, just 20 money. Helion can spend that 3 money, so effectively they had 23 money. So the second turn, they had 42 for the first turn, and they had 23 for the second turn, which would put them to 65. Credit Core has 57 plus 20 for the second turn. And that second turn would put them to 77. You see, like, Helion's ability does not equal Credit Core's starting money. Wealth can buy happiness in Terraforming Mars. And in Terraforming Mars, more specifically, 57 money can pay for more patents. It can pay for more projects that can give you more money. And heat costs more than money. Heat costs an average of 6 money per heat production versus 5 money for money production. So if Credit Core just wants to keep pumping that money into making more money, they will more easily make more money than Helion will make more heat. And so Credit Core will just they start with more money, and they will forever have more money if they both do the exact same things with the same exact opportunities. Now, that discounts some advantages, right? Because Helion is producing heat that can purchase the temperature, and the temperature raises TR, which increases money. So if you spend 8 heat, then you have now increased your TR, and you continue to make more money, which continues to increase the heat, which continues to make more money. So it's not exactly even. And there is a point where Helion has an advantage. Helion will, obviously at the end of the game, when Helion is producing a lot of heat, or they have a lot of leftover heat, they will suddenly be able to pump all of that into their economy. But Credit Core is getting 4 money back every time they do something, and that includes greenery. So you can flat out pay 23 money to produce a greenery tile, which will give you 4 money back. So it effectively costs you 19 money to put down a greenery tile. When you put down a greenery tile, you're getting an oxygen, which gives you a TR. You're also getting a victory point at the end of the game. Plus, if you put the greenery next to a city that you control, or possibly multiple cities, then you're going to have more victory points at the end of the game. So in general, it is always better to purchase greenery than it is to produce heat. Now, the other problem with Helion is that Helion has a lot of contrasts. With Helion, you want heat, okay? But if you spend the heat as money, then you've effectively lost money. Because again, you could have just gained money for less than it would have cost you to gain heat production. So the only reason you gain heat production is to increase the temperature. And if you want to spend 8 heat to increase the temperature, then you can't spend it as money. So effectively, the ability to spend heat as money is an ability you should ignore, and it just doesn't matter. You don't need it. You could just basically pretend that Helion is a corporation that starts with 42 money and 3 heat production and has a space symbol, and you don't even need its special ability. So the ability that makes everyone want Helion doesn't matter at the beginning of the game, except you do have a little wiggle room. You do have a little wiggle room that if you can get something with that heat that you couldn't otherwise afford, then you should do that, and you should spend a little bit of money. That's fine. But Credit Core will have so much more money that they don't need the wiggle room in the beginning of the game. Now, once Credit Core has spent that starting money, if they purchased unwisely, Helion will forever have that ability and forever have that wiggle room. And at the end of the game, they will have really an immense amount more wealth suddenly pumped into their economy. But that brings up another point. Thermalist is an award that most people assume the Helion player will easily win. But the problem is that Thermalist is not based off of your heat production. It's based off of your heat. So if you're a Helion player and you've been spending your heat as money, which often you should at the end of the game, then you will not be eligible to win Thermalist, because the other players who usually have a few heat production at the end of the game will have nothing else to do with that heat but to store it and stockpile it. And so if you unlocked Thermalist, you will effectively often have given those victory points to another player. Usually I see Helion easily getting the number 2 position, but most players will not let the Helion player get the number 1 position for Thermalist unless the Helion player didn't use their ability. And if they didn't use their ability, again, what is the point of having that ability? You'd rather have money. You just would. That's the foundation. Now, when would you choose Helion then? If Helion isn't that good, well, if you start the game with some very nice heat producing cards. Now, I have all the expansions at this point. So I looked and I have around 17 cards. It sounds a little specific because I think it is, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm giving myself an escape by saying around 17 heat producing cards. So if you get some of these 17 heat production cards and Helion as your draw, then maybe it makes sense. I get it. You know, you should look at your starting projects and you should choose your corporation based off of the starting projects. And that may mean that Helion is the right choice. How likely is that? Well, I have roughly 400 cards. And I say roughly because this time I did not count. And I just measured the height, and I reverse calculated that based off this height, it should be around 400 cards. And that means with around 17 cards that you have roughly like a 1 in 21 chance, basically, I don't know, maybe a 4.5% chance of drawing per draw a heat producing card. So you're not likely to get many in that starting hand. And not only that, but you're not likely to get many more, because if you play the draft and if you play corporate era without using the draft, I just feel like then you're emphasizing luck too much for my preferences. I like to have the draft. I like to have this element of strategy. I like this element of, hey, do I want to keep this amazing card for me, but I'm number 3 or even number 2 in ranking, but give the number 1 player the best card for him? Or do I want to strategically keep that card, which means the better card for me isn't out there, and hope I can catch up later or hope it comes back around again? So I love the draft. And I don't think with the draft that the Helion player will get many opportunities to get a heat producing card, except their very initial draw, unless they're not doing well. And then the other players don't care because, you know, they're rocking. So looking at the heat production cards, there's actually quite a few. The good thing about the expansions is they've done a decent job of adding some more options. It used to be Soletta was like the go-to card. I mean, increase your heat production 7 steps. Come on. 7 steps. That's amazing for anybody, but it's particularly amazing for Helion. Anything with Mohole. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Mohole, I don't know. Mohole is good for Helion. And that brings up another point. If you play with Prelude, and I love the Prelude expansion. The Prelude expansion adds another layer of strategic choice on your corporate selection. So you get dealt 4 of these cards, And you have to choose your corporation based off of which prelude cards you got and which project card you got. And that's going to define your choice. Well, again, there's some more molehole cards. So molehole excavation gives you steel production and heat production. Molehole, 3 heat production. Eccentric sponsor, play a card from hand, reducing its cost by 25 money. I think that is good for Helion because combined with Soletta, they can easily do it first turn without crushing their options. And that's the biggest problem with Helion, is that if you go all in on a card like Soletta, then you don't have many other options. So if somebody hits you with heat trappers, let alone heat trappers ×2, then you are really in a bad spot, because Helion without heat production, if their heat production goes from 3 to 1, or it goes from some number like 5 or 7 down to 4, again, basically, you're no longer Helion. Helion without heat production is just a poor beginner corporation. So that is, that's it. That's my angle. That's my perspective. Why Helion starts out looking amazing, and then in reality, it's not so amazing. Sandy has promised to deliver a 4th dimensional new storage mechanism for all of the Cthulhu War stuff. This is vitally important, guys. You do not understand. I am really worried that the latest Kickstarter, when I bought everything I had left, like all the extra maps, boards, anything that was from, I think, Onslaught 2, maybe Onslaught 1 that I had not owned yet because I've got in on Onslaught 3, I'm expecting a whole shelf of Cthulhu Wars, and I try to make sure my shelves interesting, which means I don't want them to be all Cthulhu Wars. So my Cthulhu Wars is actually all up there out of shot, because I just find it, it would just be all Cthulhu Wars. And I'm more than that, guys. I love Cthulhu Wars. I own more Cthulhu Wars stuff than anything else I own, but I'm more than Cthulhu Wars. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna have to hang bookshelves from my ceiling or something. I have no idea. So Sandy, help me out with that. 4th dimensional storage mechanism. I don't know, Doctor Who-esque, bigger on the inside, something. Yeah. All right, and that's it for this video. I love Terraforming Mars. I really want to do more. I'd love to get your feedback on who is the most powerful corporation in Terraforming Mars. Comment down below and I'll break it down and see if I agree. All right, bye guys.